Welcome to tips on how to style a winter table, starting with the most basic parts and pieces. I'm going to walk you through it and explain how to add a little bit of character to it, how to make it still wintry, but also feel warm and inviting. So let's follow along and start out first. My number one tip is to always consider who's coming to your dinner party or your party, whichever, who will be sitting around the table with you. Always want to consider that, whether it will be all ladies, whether it will be children, whether you will have men and women. It just all depends. And then from there, you want to come up with a theme that will kind of suit everyone. It doesn't have to be perfectly suited for everybody, but you just want to incorporate parts and pieces that touch on those different genders and different ages, different age groups. So you just want to think about those things when you are setting a table. So choosing the theme today, I chose a wintry reflection is my thought pattern. And so the first thing I want to do is gather together the things that I have. I really want to focus on white. I love ivory and winter white. I am also pairing it with just solid white. And I'm using different fabrics. This is a sheer fabric that you can see through it. And I am pairing that with a regular white tablecloth. I go through a lot of white tablecloths, and so now I have learned to buy them at Amazon or Target or other places where you can find them and they won't cost a fortune. If you only plan to use your white tablecloths a few times a year, then go ahead and splurge on something that has a nicer quality or a better fabric to it. But for all of my purposes, I use white, 100% white cotton tablecloths, and I find them most often in the places that I just mentioned. So hop on Amazon and see what you like. Even the polyester ones, they work fine, and they wash really well. So that's always helpful. So as you're collecting the things that you have and you want to think about your linens, I also try to find which napkins that I would like to put with them. On this table, I'm using white. And then, as you can see, I am adding one of my favorite details, which is a ribbon twilly, which I developed these with Gabrielle from the Preppy Stitch. I took this idea and Gabby brought it to life by putting our monogram on it. One of my very favorite things. And I think that ties off, literally and figuratively, just ties off all those colors and brings it together. And it adds this element to your table of just the thought that went into it and just gives it a little bit of elegance in the winter, which I really like that. So think about little details like that. Everybody always says that the details are what create the whole look, and it's so true, because otherwise your table looks a little flat and plain until you add in the details. So just think through the things that you have at your home, or think about investing in pieces that will be versatile enough that you can use them for other tables as well. So I love these because you can also reuse and take them and put them on any color. I chose ivory and blue because I know those are two of the most neutral colors. So let's talk about what else we're gonna gather. I think about white containers that I can use for flowers for the centerpieces. I think about my table setting as far as the plates, and then of course silverware, the utensils, and then I fill in with the flowers that I want to use. And this time I did hydrangeas, white roses, and I think it's freesia, some different whites. And I found all of the flowers at Trader Joe's. So don't be shy to look in your grocery store floral departments, because they have really great selections these days. And especially if you have a Trader Joe's close by, I suggest popping in there anytime you can for some of their selections, because they get really, really great variety. And then they also have greenery that you can add in if you like. So candles, candlesticks, things like that, those are going to add in the warmth that you want from the flame. And I used brass candlesticks, candlesticks, and then ivory candles. And then I also used votive candles that are just crystally looking, but they're actually just glass. And Honestly, I found these at the Dollar Tree. And I think I found these in 1999. So I've been using these forever, and I just put in a votive candle to fill it. And of course, I go through a lot of those too. So I don't invest a ton of money in those little votive candles. I just reuse them so often. Another tip on the candles that's been asked: where do I get the candles that have the lip on them for the bottom? So I can pull this out. You can see how it has. This one has some wax that went down the side, but you can see that it has the way you can insert that. It has a tapered end of the candle with the lip around it. That way it fits into your candlesticks a lot better. And we looked at the maker, and it is called Colonial Candle Company, and they are a little more expensive than just the basic ones, but they do have a better fit and just a better overall look, and just a lot more quality to them. So I like those because you don't have to use the sticky stuff that makes your candle kind of jiggle when you move it. It makes me a little nervous. So I like to use the ones that are a little bit more shaped and suitable for entertaining. Okay, let's move on to our table setting. Now, what I did, I always, when my husband and I were married, I registered for the white with the gold rim, and those have been classic and so easy to use. And for this table setting, I did the dinner size, and then also salad plate. And then on the top of it, I paired it with a totally different look. I did a teacup saucer on the top, which I like because it adds in a little bit of color, but yet it keeps it really still leaning toward all of the white. And then I do love the golds, the brass, and the silver that the metal brings in. So that's where you get those reflections and things like that. And speaking of reflections for the placemats, I decided to go with mirrored rectangles. You can find those at craft stores. And it's beveled glass or a beveled mirror placemat. And they're great for place settings, and then they're also great for centerpieces. So I have about 4. Now I have 5 of them. So I use those and just really enjoy the different ways you can move them around. But for this table, I did 4 place settings each. I put the rectangular plate, rectangular mirror down first, put the plates on top, and then on the very top of the plate, I placed the napkin with the napkin twilly, and it just made a really, really pretty look. You don't have to have a matching set on the plates on the top. I use different colors. And I know that we said winter white. I was trying to find one more little plate. I don't mind a little bit of color on a white just because it helps break it up a little bit. But if you really want to be a purist about it, then just skip the color and add in all white. But I love the look of just a little bit of color because it sort of it adds some warmth, but it's not like it still looks like a very white, wintry white table. Okay, let's move along to the silverware, the utensils. For this place setting, I chose to use the mother of pearl handles and then a regular silver pattern. And I just love being able to mix them. If it's more your style to have everything matching, then go with that. But I do love the look of the different patterns mixed together because it adds something unexpected, but it adds an interest to your table that we would obviously not have otherwise. So I think that's kind of cool to have that. Same with the knives. I did a silver and a mother of pearl. And if you're wondering where I got mother of pearl utensils, I found these at an antique store, and I love using them because they're great for things like a wintry look, but then they also are perfect for Easter, and then they look great for any holidays. So I just kind of like having those as an extra part to add to it. So just when you're out shopping, if you do have a collection started of silverware and you just want to add something interesting to it, I do recommend looking for those handles that have something unique, like the mother of pearl. They're really pretty. And that vintage, old vintagey feel adds another layer of just texture and color. And a pattern, because I have to tell you what I really like. I think this is so helpful. I don't think it's going to show up on a video, but on this knife, you might can see it. There is actually a pattern on this side, but then on the other side, there's no pattern. And what I like about that is that shows you which side should be up. So it takes away the guesswork. If you can't remember that the blade faces the plate, then this automatically helps you know because it has the pretty side up. So I think that's kind of neat. Let's quickly go through what I would do or recommend if you're starting out and you want to create a centerpiece with flowers and you're not really sure where to start. I'm going to move my camera down a little. I'm going to show you, let's see, it's probably pretty good to see that. I'm going to show you this. This is a tulip container, and when it's together, it looks like that. I'm going to tip it so you can see it has the holes. And of course, first thing you want to do is fill it with water before you put your flowers in. And the holes allow you to be able to put the flowers in, and it pretty much arranges the flowers for you. So you don't have to worry about if you're putting them in the right places. What I would suggest, let me show you this one that I already put together. Look how pretty. What I did was I took a hydrangea bloom. I think I had I had 2 hydrangea blooms, and I made 4 different flower arrangements out of those 2 blooms. And all I did was take the big blossom and then I cut it into smaller sections and then just put it down into the holes. And that way I was able to spread out along that bottom layer. And then I added in roses. And then, gosh, I want to call this freesia. I don't think that's right. I'm blanking out on the name of that. But this is, and you always want to just add a stem that's taller so that you have different levels. So I have that lower level and then a middle section, and then the parts on the sides that give you a little bit of interest. But isn't that just such a pretty arrangement? And it all was so much easier because I used this tulip holder. You can find something similar. They're called flower frogs. If you don't find a tulipiere, I always laugh when I say that word. So I hear it said a lot of ways, but again, it has the holes. You do not have to use every single one of those holes. You can skip a few. And another tiny part that I absolutely love is I did take some of the Christmas ornaments that I had, and these are birds, because in the winter, when I was deciding what to do with it, I put on my list things that I see in the winter outside. And little birds are always around. And so I just like to add him in. You can put him in the flowers. You can put him really anywhere. But I think he looks really pretty. I can bring him up a little bit to the camera. Can you see? I'm going to put him in a better spot. You can see him better. Let's make him go this way. There. He looks better like that. So see how you just put him in, and it's suddenly a really cute little section. And it adds a little bit of blue, and again, that metallic gold that gives out that winter reflection feel. I also, when thinking about little birds, I wanted to show you that I used, same idea. This is just a little clip-on bird, and I found him at an antique store. And I put popcorn in to the little milk glass bowl. And these look really cute you can put them at the top of your place setting, or you can even put it on the top of the the dinner and salad plates if you want to put it on top. You could also attach a little name to it and it could become the place card. So I love adding in the elements of the little bird. So I put them throughout the table, and I purposely did not get anything that was red and green. And that way it just looks wintry rather than looking Christmassy. But they are Christmas ornaments, and I did find them at an antique vintage store. If you look around, you can find them and just collect them here and there when you find them, and eventually you'll have enough. It only takes 4 or 5 just to really have a little something to add to your table. So that is always fun, to add something that's completely unexpected. And people always say, "How do you think of that? Like, what made you think of popcorn?" So I think of birds, I think of winter, I think of that's what I see outside, and they love popcorn and seeds, and then popcorn is white. So that also is a great way to have like a conversation starter when your guests are seated, whether it's formal or whether it's your family. It's just a nice icebreaker, an easy way to get dinner started. They talk about the popcorn. I actually added in, it's a champagne popcorn that I got here locally in Athens. So it's a gourmet popcorn, but you can just pop your own popcorn, microwave it, and just put it down. And then as soon as people sit down, they will follow your lead as the hostess, but they can start just enjoying their popcorn, and it kind of puts everybody at ease because it's nothing stuffy, but yeah, you still have this beautiful table. And then add a little bird onto the side, and it just kind of lightens up the mood, gives it that easygoing feeling, and just, I don't know, just puts a little happiness on the table. I think it takes formality out of it and just makes it fun and more inviting. So always think about how you want to make your guests feel comfortable. And I think that's one way, and something that I grew up with a mom who likes things to be very formal. And so I learned all the very formal ways, but then I also spent so much time with a lady that I worked for when I was in college. And she loved to entertain. She loved to do formal entertaining, but she always added in some kind of funny element to every dinner party that she threw. And I used to think of my mom and think, oh gosh, she would just cringe to know that she did this, but it was something that I learned that I will always value because it just lightened up the mood. It made it so much more fun and more enjoyable. And so I learned to combine the two. Like, I love the formal, and then I love to toss in something that's unexpected, that's also lighthearted, and it adds a comfort level that otherwise you might not find. So that's where that mixing comes from, of mixing the more formal ideas with the more fun and playful side. So the lady that I worked for in the summers, she hosted dinner parties weekly, and I was always her helper. I did all the things I could possibly do, and I loved it because I learned so much, and she loved it because I already had that background from my mom, who had taught me all of the more formal ways. So it was a great combination, and that is where I think my love of entertaining just grew, and I hope that I can express that to you guys and encourage you to do it your way. I do really want to express there's no one way. There's no just one way to do it. But I hope that ideas that I bring you give you some of the confidence to try something different. Also, that just kind of encourages you to do something a little extra special, especially if it's just your family. I think it's fun just to have something different around the table. So I always want you to remember that you may not have to replicate, you don't have to replicate everything to be exactly the same, but just as you're out and looking around, think of ideas that might work really well with your family or with your entertaining style, and go with that. Don't feel like you have to just do it one way. One last thing I want to tell you about, oh, not last, let's keep going. Let's talk first of all about the glasses, because I forgot to mention. I did water, crystal water, and then I added in silver plated wine glasses. And these always work well together, and you want to remember to put your water closer to the plate, and then the wine goes beside the water glass to the right of it. It would be like this. And I just always remembered it by being alphabetical, water and then wine. So, or you can say, you turn water into wine, just whatever helps you remember which way it goes. But I mix those silver wine glasses. I also found those at it was a vintage store, and I found 12 for $20. So it's one of those things that you can find. You can find taller ones and all sorts of shapes. You can find gold ones. So just be on the lookout, and don't be afraid to stop in at some place that you may not have shopped before. You might find something unique and special that you never knew you needed. But that's kind of what happens to me every time I go in. So we have that. And then let me think. Okay, I want to tell you about this is really probably my favorite part of, especially in the winter. I love to create that feeling of a little outdoor cafe because we can't really go out. Or, typically it's too cold. And so I bring in house plants, and as you can see over here, I have what is a schefflera over there. And then all I did was put it into a very lightweight container. It's an urn that I got from Home Depot. It's one of those that looks like it would be really heavy, but it's made out of lightweight material, and so it's very light. And I just bring those in from the porch. And the schefflera is an indoor house plant, and I put that inside of it. I put towels in to just sort of keep it all, weighted down. And then I added in a shepherd's hook, which is you can also find this at the garden stores. And it's just a typical hook. And it's wrought iron, and you put it in there, and then you string lights going across your table to create like a cafe. And I love to put them, I like to get 4 and put them in each corner. If you have a round table, you could do it, you could do 2. And then I will string mine across going diagonally. You could also string it from tree to tree going on the sides. If you have like a low hanging chandelier and you can't cross over your table, then just go side to side. But let me show you, I'll be right there. Let's see. So these are the lights that I like to string between the two. And they are the larger, they're called cafe lights, patio lights. They give off a really great glow, and they work really well on your porch when you are not inside. So they kind of work for a lot of things. I love these types of lights. So, and I'm also looking at this amaryllis. I want to tell you really quickly, that was a gift from my neighbor, and it bloomed perfectly. And so I decided to use it as the centerpiece on this table. It does have, I liked having the bulb exposed down there. At first I thought I would put it into a vessel, but I decided I really kind of liked it, and it looked really pretty and just added a totally different texture to the table. So don't feel like you always have to have everything perfectly potted and put into a container, because it's okay. Like, you can just use what you have, and you don't have to go and break the bank trying to buy stuff. Other ideas for adding in unique little touches around your table would be unique serving dishes. This is a white and gold. It's a little butter dish. It could be a jelly dish. It can be really whatever you want to put in it. So I love things like that look like they don't really match everything. This is another butter dish idea. This is a silver plate butter dish. You can find these at little antique stores. Simple, easy to wash, take out, and then you just have a cute little way to display. And it looks like it, came from your grandmother's or something. So I am a big fan of mixing different generations of tableware. If your favorite place to go is more modern and you like that look, then use that. But find a couple little things that you can add in that will also give it a different feel. You want to kind of go a little off of what you might normally think of to add the interest. I hope that makes sense. But what I think the ultimate goal is that whatever you're doing, you're just creating something that's a little out of your comfort zone, or what you're used to, but also keeping it within your style. So remember, the details are what you will notice. Remember, most importantly, is when you put your table together, you want to think of levels. So you want your heights to vary. So you can have things that are like the votive candles are low, and then you have a middle level, which would be more like these flowers. And then you have a higher level, which is more like the amaryllis. So you want to have at least 3 heights. If you need to elevate using different things, you can use different stands. You can really use anything. I use little wooden blocks. I use whatever I can find to make different levels. So those are my tips for creating a quick and easy basic winter tablescape. And anytime you have white, I think it's a great start. And the next time we get together to do these, I will start incorporating different things with the white so that you can we can take these ideas and move them throughout this the year, and they'll translate into just about every holiday or every celebration. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, don't say anything.